Well, hello. This is a video called Be Creative. And as you can see, I've created this nice little component, a part, in using NX. And he's a little bee. And he's got all sorts of little components, if you will, that I'm going to tell you about. Of course, the best way to do that is to turn all the features back to where they started and step through them real quick. So with Control Shift Home, the model turns back, and then with Control Shift right arrow, you can see the various entities that I've created. So this little sketch is what I used to make the back, and I put a datum axis on there and a datum plane on the datum axis, and I made another sketch on that datum plane, which is orthogonal to the very first one. And then I created a sketch that shows you like the top shape. I did a combined curve projection to project the center of the first shape on the top shape, and then I mirrored it over. And then when I mirrored that, I had the curves that were required to do this nice little swept freeform feature. That's a really nice trick to do forms that are, for lack of a better term, bulbous. And then I did another sketch with a bunch of lines that I thought would be nice to break up the shape of this back, this thorax, whatever you want to call it. And I did a bunch of datum planes on each line, and with each datum plane I split the body, and because the body was split, I was able to put a nice little radius on each, so the body looks segmented. And then I went about creating the kind of the forward portion of this insect, and I made another swept freeform feature. And moving right along, I started putting some points on the bottom of the feature so that I could put the little mounts for each leg, and I united those in and I blended them in really nicely. Of course, I colored it all jet black, and maybe I should have picked a little lighter color because it makes it a little hard to see the contours, but I was trying to emulate the colors that I saw in my head. This is all a very creative thing because this isn't a real bee. The shapes are borrowed from probably a combination of various insects. As you can see, I made a sketch that I used to create the leg, and in the same sketch I made a bunch of revolves, and then I patterned that last revolve along the sketch, made a little sphere there, made a datum axis, datum planes, put a little sketch on a datum plane, and as you can see, I made a little claw, and I did that with a swept freeform feature with a perimeter law, and I controlled the perimeter law with a linear relationship and set one of the portions of that linear relationship to 0. And then I made another datum plane and mirrored it and united it together, and I had a leg to stand on. And then I mirrored that leg to have 2 legs, and then I did it again. So here's the second of 6 legs. I built it the exact same way, but it's a different shape. It's a little longer in the back, and then in the front it's shorter, and it is kind of bent inward, which, as you can see, I made the claws in a similar way and mirrored it over. Okay, then I made the appendages for the wings to stick out of. I made those and united them in, put a little datum plane through it, and I made an outline to create the wing structure. And I put a sketch on the wing structure to create the little veins, and I put little tubes on each vein. Of course, I made the wing structure transparent, and as you can see, I developed a wing-like structure. I put a tube around the whole thing and colored it the right way and all of that. and then I moved it. It was too close to the body, and I needed room for the second wing. It would appear to me, as I look through the internet on pictures of bumblebees, they appear to have two sets of wings. I don't know if they move them independently, or I don't know if it's one wing with kind of a segment in it, but I gave this insect four wings, so he's very maneuverable. Hopefully he's very flexible. And I gave him a little mouth with a little sharp tongue so he can go into different flowers and suck up as much pollen as he can. I gave him these bulgy eyes, and I wanted him to have these tentacles or feelers. I don't know what you call them. I'm sure there is a name for them that I just don't know, because I'm not an entomologist, but I play one on TV. No, I'm just kidding. And then I give him a hat. Get the sun out of his eyes. He's got such big eyes, he needs a hat. And on that hat, I thought I would write something, a message of great import. And that is, be creative. So there is the bug. That's him in all of his glory. And so I've stepped through a lot of it, but I also wanted to do something interesting here. I wanted to give him hair on his back. And so I made this one little curve, and then I did yet another freeform feature with a law curve on it with a area, no, I think it's a perimeter law with controlled by a linear relationship. One side of it is 0, so it comes to a sharp point. And then I did a bunch of point locations. I just picked them out manually on his back where I wanted more hairs to go. And at some point, when I had all the points, you could see the points coming up. Let it catch up. Let's see. Here's all the points. I'll just say make current feature on those points, and you'll see I'll say Control Shift W and bring back all the points. I'm sorry, Control W. Oh, what did I do? Control W. And let's bring back the points so you can see how many there are. There they are. So for each point, there will be a hair located on the back. And then I did a pattern component of all those, all the hairs on each point. And so the pattern, the layout that I used was a general. Now, I wanted all the hairs to be a different length. So the basic length of each hair is 1 inch. But then I created in the pattern function a spreadsheet, and you can do a spreadsheet edit on your pattern. And what happens is you, if you use a variational pattern, general pattern, you get to vary the length of each hair. And so there's a lot of hairs, and if I did it manually, it would take me all day. So what I did was I put in the pattern feature let's just get rid of these. I put in the pattern feature a rand function. R-A-N-D, left paren, right paren, is what you type into the spreadsheet to create a random number from 0 to 1. And every time you hit F9, it updates. It gives you a different pattern. You see I little missed one here. But if you have a tolerance stack-up analysis that you're doing, and you've got a bunch of layers of something, or if you have a bunch of things that fit together, what you can do is you can create a variable that you add on to the thickness, let's say, of the different layers of things that you've got all put together, and you can control it with an RAND, left paren, right paren, rand function. You can multiply that by some tolerance, and you can figure out what will happen if you have a bunch of layers of things that are all put together. You could hit F9, 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 and take a look at what happens to it, and you can see what the result of a manufacturing process would have on your components. So that's like a poor person's tolerance stack-up analysis. These little tricks are so important. Okay, so let's see. What else do I have? Then I'll say make current feature on this one. Then I animated it. What I didn't show you was the fact that this thing comes apart and there's little eggs in his belly. You'll see in a second when I animate it. I'm going to take away the datum axis and everything so it looks good when I animate it. There we go. All right, so here we go. So now, if I go to the animation designer, which is awesome in NX, it's so easy to use, and what you do is you create rigid bodies of different things, and as you can see, there's rigid bodies of each leg, rigid bodies of the head, rigid bodies of the wings, and so I can flap the wings, and I can make the head rotate, and I can make the body come apart, and I can make the legs move back and forth. And so as you can see, when I hit play, it does this thing, and the little eggs come out of him. Let's repeat that. Let's stop it. Let's play it again. Yep, see, there's the eggs, and they release, and he flaps his wings, he rotates his head, he does everything that a real bee can't. So there you have it. Be creative. And thanks for watching. Thanks for your subscribing. Many of you have subscribed to this channel. I really appreciate it. Makes it much easier to continue, and I am committed to creating many more videos like this that show you all these awesome techniques and inventions and so on. It's definitely a blessing for me to do it, and I'm very, very thankful to those of you who have subscribed to the channel and have supported us, many of you. Please do, and please share these videos with others. And above all, be creative. Thank you.